Hey guys, it's Mr. Dragon 000 here, back with Automation the Car Company Tycoon game, and what you're seeing right now is one of my latest builds called the Ajax Clipper RSi Turbo. This vehicle is a 1980s hot hatch that was a competitor to some of the prominent ones in its class, such as the Volkswagen Golf GTI Mark II, Shelby GLHS, Ford Escort RS Turbo, and many more. The design of this car is slightly based off the Citroen AX GT in terms of the front of the vehicle, using the Honda Civic EK body. While it may look like a typical compact hatchback from the outside, the inside is a whole different story. Stay tuned for the specs of this car throughout this video. This specific car build was requested by one of my members on my Discord server by the name of Chocolate Axe. Just to throw up the plug about my Discord is that the link to join is down below in the description. It has a lap time of 1 minute 29 seconds 57 milliseconds at the quote-unquote Top Gear test track and 2 minutes 27 seconds 55 milliseconds at the automation track. It has a top speed of 149 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 6.55 seconds. This vehicle uses a custom 1.8 liter turbocharged inline-4 engine that produces 176 horsepower and 167.4 pounds-feet of torque. It has a fuel efficiency rating of 21.5 miles per gallon and weighs 2,267.2 pounds or 1,028.4 kilograms. And for the market, it holds up fairly well in the top 4 markets here despite the high cost, like the sports budget, pony budget, and both fun car markets. In terms of how I made the turbocharged Clipper, the panel material will be made out of regular steel with a monocoque chassis made out of corrosion-resistant steel, with a front transverse engine placement, and the front suspension uses a McPherson strut, and the rear suspension uses a double wishbone suspension. For the engine, it uses an inline-4 engine made out of cast iron with the bore set to 84mm and a stroke at 81mm, which gets the engine size to around 1.8 liters or 1,796 cubic centimeters with single overhead cam 4 valves made out of aluminum. For the crankshaft, it's made out of forged steel with heavy-duty forged common rods and regular forged pistons. Heading on over to the compression vehicle, it uses somewhat of a normal 8.0 to 1 ratio with the cam profile set to a 60. For the turbocharger, of course, it's a single turbo setup with ball bearings with the intercooler set to 446 horsepower, the compressor set to 44.5 millimeters, turbine at exactly 50 millimeters, the AR ratio pretty much at the halfway point of 0.755, and the max boost at around 11.7 psi, which is like 3/4 of a bar, I believe. For the fuel system, we're using a multi-point EF5 single configuration with a performance intake running on regular fuel, with the fuel mixer set to a 13.7, the ignition timing bumped it a little bit to a 60, and the RPM limit set to 7,000 RPM. For the headers, since it's a turbocharger, our only option is we got short cast headers of a single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to a 57.1 millimeters, which is around 2.25 inches, with a 3-way catalytic converter, no first buffer, with the second buffer is at a reverse flow. For the drive type, our only option is that we got a front-wheel drive setup because of a transverse engine placement with a manual 4-speed with the top speed set to 149.1 miles per hour with a vicious LSD, which isn't the best of LSDs, but it's good enough. For the tires, we're rolling with some radial medium compound tires with the front and rear tire width set to an even 195 millimeters, running on some 14-inch alloy rims. For the brakes, we're using some Venedis 2-piston brakes with the size set to 250mm at the front, and the rear is a solid disc 1-piston with its size set to a 220mm, with the pad type leaning a little bit more towards the comfort side. And for the under tray, not that much, a semi-clad under tray, and the brake airflow up that a little bit, so there's nothing much about that. For the interior, we got a total of 5 seats in this vehicle. We got 2 up here, and this back seat completely crammed in is because if I would have moved the seats back a little bit, the chassis would basically compromise the back seat, so it's pretty much no use to make it this close. And it's got a premium interior setting with a standard cassette player, which is pretty interesting for a sports vehicle. For the safety and everything, it's got variable hydraulic power steering with ABS brakes and 1980s standard safety standards, and last but not least, for the suspension, we're rolling with some progressive springs with gas Model 2 dampers, and our only option is some passive sway bars running on a sports preset. Despite only a few problems in there, such as the dampers being too hard, rear brake force being so high, rear tires being so wide, brake fade, and clearance issues, let's export this to BeamNG.drive and test this vehicle out. So here we are at the map of Utah, USA, and very quickly take a brief look at the vehicle. As I was saying about how the car looks like a Citroen AX, if you probably know what that car is, look at the front. For the grille placement and these bottom fog lamps, as I call it, that's where we pretty much try to mock that Citroen AX type of look, especially for the fog lamps. But the grille, there was like 2 slits here, but instead put 3 on here. Even though the body of the vehicle is based off the 90s and I think early 2000s Honda Civic EK hatchback body. Even though this is the 1980s body on automation, which is pretty interesting on how they listed this in the game. And what's more interesting, when I turn on the headlights, you get the light of God up in here, especially the rear of the vehicle, which I think it's the rear manufacturer logo. Yeah, is that lighting up? It could be that or something inside the vehicle, but it's just totally ridiculous. It's just bright as hell. It's a second headlight in the back of the vehicle. How is this possible, man? And now like that, you can see the graphics are a little bit different here is because I installed a graphics mod called AL11, which is on the BeamNG forums. You can download the graphics mod if you want to, but you gotta have a beefy PC like mine, as you can check down the specs below in the description. So right now, while we're at it, the car stopped here. We're going to be doing some basic performance tests with this vehicle. For our 3 tests we're going to be doing, one of them is going to be a 0 to 62 acceleration test, second a 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly a top speed run, which I guarantee with this type of engine and this type of vehicle, we might as well get it before we get to the end of the tunnel, which is probably like 3/4 of a mile ahead of us. So right now, let's get ready to start this vehicle off now. Got some of that wheel spin in place. Upshift, and good old-fashioned BeamNG upshift to downshift. 0 to 62 time in 8.43 seconds of 400.41 feet. So while I'm at it, let's just reset this, go to realistic gearbox, upshift to first gear, go. Let's just manually upshift it by myself. I upshift it, when I upshift it, go. And keep on going, and now 0 to 62 in 8.05 seconds of 358.65 feet. A little bit better, but, you know, it's okay. Okay, brake test. Got some flat land. Go. On the brakes. And good. 62 to 0 in 3.03 seconds of 120.45 feet. Time-wise, not a big fan of it. Like, with this type of vehicle, it should be like a 2.7 second brake time with a 100-foot braking distance, but it could be better, and it couldn't be worse, but whatever. So for a top speed run, it's already in effect, and we get a fairly similar 0 to 62 time right there at around 8 seconds, a little over 8 seconds. So the 6.55 second that we got in automation is a total lie, and we're in 4th gear going 120 miles an hour, and we're gonna breeze by the top speed run. We're gonna breeze right by it. It's 130 miles an hour. How about this cornering right here, this turn? Going 140 miles an hour, and we're turning just as fine despite being front wheel drive, minor understeer, but who cares? Top speed? I don't think so. 146, so close, but it's a fail. So let's get the camera ready, smash into the guardrail and into the wall of this tunnel here. So we're gonna get a good camera, so right here, and unfreeze physics, and launch ourselves off the guardrail, and then, boom. Front end smash, there goes the tire. Got some hazards going off because impact detected stopping car for a 1980s vehicle, which shouldn't have these types of safety standards, but whatever. So full time, and we're upside down, and the engine still runs, and the tires are way over there. This tire's way over there, and that tire's way over there too. So let's get this upright and take a look at the aftermath destruction of the vehicle, and we just basically somersaulted over the goddamn guardrail. So damage-wise, we got the turbocharger exposed, and the drive shaft or the transmission of the vehicle, it's just completely exposed. The hazards are going up for some odd reason. The suspension's exposed too. The sides of it, some bendiness in the frame as expected. Rear, not a whole lot. This side, not that much. Let's check out the inside of the vehicle. What would it be like if I'm the driver of the vehicle that would not have survived the crash? We got the steering wheel right in my face. It's white somehow, the steering wheel. This is from I think the automation 3D wheel, not the modded 3D wheel that came with the game with the recent 3D update. If you're the driver, passenger, back passengers, you're not going to survive. Crash-wise or Geforce-wise, you're not going to survive whatsoever. So right now, let's take this up a notch by going to a time trial here at Hirochi Raceway to get used to the AL11 graphics mod, put this to use. Running on the medium race circuit, and we're going to be doing 2 laps of this thing in the noon hours, so get ready. Take it to the starting line of this track with this vehicle right now. So here we are at the start and finish line of this track here. We're a little bit behind the start and finish line of this racetrack with the AL11 graphics mod already in effect here. As you can see, there's a little bit of higher contrast, brightness, and vibrant saturation of everything you see here that is in color, which is pretty interesting. And also, if you made it this far and everything, let me know down below if I should continue videos showcasing BeamNG.drive with the AL11 graphics mod. If you like it, then I'll continue doing it. If you don't, then I'll delete the mod and just do it as is with BeamNG.drive's graphics. So right now, get ready to start this race off at 3, 2, get this launch going, 1, full-blown launch, go. And also put this back to realistic. And also with the graphics mod, everything, speaking of that, I maxed out the graphics for everything. Everything is running on the highest setting, and I'm getting around 48 right now, 48 FPS. And we're going a little wide here. Normally for my graphics with this GTX 1070, the Founders Edition graphics card, and this 990 equivalent Xeon W3690 GPU, I would normally get around like 60 FPS roughly, a little bit over 60 under normal graphics settings, which that seems doable. Because usually with this game, this is more CPU based than it is graphics based, GPU based, because you got these vehicles that basically need a lot of CPU power to load every single vehicle that exists in this game. If you don't, then you're going to be lagging at like 10 FPS when you load like 3 cars in with like regular traffic or just 3 cars in general. Whether they're automation mods, BeamNG regular vehicles, or modded BeamNG vehicles. That's why you should pretty much get a pretty beefy CPU like mine. This type of CPU, the Xeon processor, this works pretty good despite being an equivalent to a 990X like I just said, which is an extreme model of the first gen i7 processors, which it's holding up pretty well. But even though in the future I am planning on building a PC in the future, maybe the next few years while more financially stable, as I'm still in college as a junior as of right now. And for the first lap times, you see right here is a 1 minute 40 seconds, 165 milliseconds. Doing okay, and I'm also getting more used to this vehicle, the transmission, steering, everything, and including the braking zones of where I'm supposed to brake. Like right there, split time, 6 seconds better than the first lap time because we were stopped, and now we gotta brake. And not only that, we're not even fading a whole lot of the front brakes here, front or rear. We're doing okay around 400 degrees, 300 to the back. Normally with these types of vehicles, you usually get some brake fade somewhere's corner cut. I would say normally you get some brake fade somewhere's in between these time trials, especially when I go hard, like a 5-lap time trial, brake it hard, everything, but we're okay. Some front vented disc brakes, some rear regular solid disc brakes, doing okay, but these could be a little bit stronger for a performance vehicle, especially for a hot hatch. And at the end of this time trial, I'm planning on taking this to the automation handling circuit in this game here to see how this thing handles because of how nimble this vehicle is, it being a front-wheel drive vehicle, and it mildly understeering like pretty much a majority of front-wheel drive vehicles do. And now we get a finish time of a 1:30, so a 1 minute 32 seconds, 738 milliseconds with time somewhere up ahead, which gets a total time of 3 minutes 12 seconds, 902 milliseconds. That seems pretty good, and this is also the first one of this time trial layout. So let's just brake right here, find a good way, not here, get out of here to crash this vehicle. That was pretty close. So let's crash these tire barriers. Let's just crash here, slow down, everything as is, 8 times slow-mo, hide the UI, and go. 8 times. Dead. There goes the squeal of the turbocharger, the wastegate just doing its thing, and there we go, full time. And the engine somehow still runs again. Every automation vehicle is basically bulletproof on here. Smashes something very hard like this, and it doesn't care. I'm gonna try this with a BeamNG vehicle just to prove this to you. Something similar, let's do, bring out the Corvette, and that's the modded Corvette, not that guy. So the 2-liter GTZ, do the same thing, crash around 60-something miles an hour, like 65, and just prove it to you that BeamNG vehicles are not that bulletproof compared to automation vehicles. It's just ridiculous. So 70 miles an hour, as is. Radiator leaking, and we got some deformities, but it's doable. Driving-wise, we can still steer, we can still turn, and maybe not. Well, whatever, crash into it again, and go to the automation handling circuit. So, get out of here, time trial again, change up the vehicles, change up the maps I meant, test track, handling course and do 1 lap with a rolling start. And it's a first in this game, I believe, right? Yes. So taking the starting line of the handling course now. So here we are at an invisible start and finish line with the word handling circuit to my right with these tire walls right here and nothing but thin air around me, and it's also AL11 supported. That's good. So start off the handling circuit here and ready, go. And we do got the start and finish line up ahead, and oh, I forgot this is a rolling start. So here's start and finish line right here, and go back to realistic gearbox mode. Alright, get some of that corner cutting, and let me do this again. This is horrible. Alright, not corner cut, and just dip down in here. Let me get an interior view for the heck of it. Alright, interior view in effect, and we're kind of doing mediocre up in here. It's high DUI, just basically just do it as is. Do it live. Interior view, nothing but this up ahead and lag spike. I'm pretty much riding second gear most of the way, and now I'm in third gear and have to go back to second. It's like I'm riding the second gear pretty much the majority of the circuit here. It's like fourth gear and above is just unnecessary for this vehicle. It's for some odd reason. And we do got the start and finish line just up ahead. I think it's around the corner here, like a few more corners, because that thing is blue, not reddish like the regular checkpoint marker would be like. So coming up to the final quarter here, let's cut real close. Okay, we're okay. Auto search to the right, and we get a time of, let me see right here, 1 minute 35 seconds, 322 milliseconds. That's kind of mediocre because it's the first time driving on a handling circuit. So what type of damage did I got with this vehicle? And as expected. So it really messed up the steering alignment. Let me find a way to end its misery. You know what, let's just launch the bitch right here. Launch the bitch at the gradient test, or the height test, whatever this is. Launch the bitch, brake, and just whatever, into a tree. There, my work is done. Radiator leaking, whatever. It's smoking, got a good amount of damage, and that is it. So right now, let's see if this vehicle will remain the king of all hot hatches by proving it that it could survive at good old Leap of Death. So here we are at the top of Leap of Death with the screwed up textures on here because it was my fault trying to realign and fix this because of the recent update. So that's enough of that. Let's just drive down here, skateboard at the top of the hill here, doing some of that BeamNG upshifting and downshifting. Exit speed, 60 miles an hour, very close to a 0 to 62 test, but it was unfortunate trying to reach it, but we're right now nosediving at a very high speed. We're gonna skateboard down this portion of the, right here. Almost landed perfectly at the side of the cliff face there, but let's go to 4 times and back to 8 because I thought we were gonna hit like this right here, but no, we're not. We're gonna launch this on our first go into the water, or we're gonna hit like 2 or 3 more. Probably this could be a second or third one, and then splash down at the pond here. So slow down to 4 times at a 205-mile crash smash. God damn, that's a huge smash. Did we kill the engine? That is the interior crash. Yes, main engine broken. And right now, just full time it all the way. So smash, and get ready to splash down here and splash. And look at this vehicle, completely smashed in, flattened, and we got the engine doing some ninjutsu type of stuff. So let's find some flat land like right here and take a look at the destruction of the vehicle, the aftermath destruction. So right here, the vehicle is flat as a piece of paper. Perfectly, almost semi-perfectly flat as a piece of paper, for God's sake. Look at this. It's just flat right here, here, and the back of the vehicle. You do got the engine completely exposed here, but it's still attached somehow to the engine bay. It's not free riding right now. As you can see here, I could just crank the strength up and do that. So right now, what we're about to do right here is that I'm going to be driving straight as fast as I can down the crater, and once I reach a good enough speed, I freeze physics and go to free cam here, and then teleport myself like, right here at the top of the peaks here, this mountain here, and see if I can land back here at this crater. So right now, go back to the Clipper, and then just go. Be very careful, don't do some crazy jumps, flips, or none of that, because we have to go pretty much in one piece, so we gotta, like, skateboard on here, and then just go. Go as fast as we can. Can't catch me. This car's a gingerbread man, and here we go. 46 miles an hour according to the airspeed. Alright, here's Mr. Ajax Clipper. Gonna do his death plummet right now. And there goes a random collision because of me scraping the ground from earlier at the crater. And let's just full time it all the way. Bang, here we go. There goes the 2 left sides of the wheels, the driver's side wheels, front left, and rear left wheels. This is gonna be interesting. Thank God for the lag helping me out. And we're flat as a damn pancake again. Random tire deflated and main engine broken. And we're still on course, on our way down at the crater right here where I was driving at. And another big hit here. There goes the engine, pulling out my momentum, changing course, and pretty much everything. And I do doubt that I'm gonna land back at the crater without doing some node grabber type of stuff. It seems like we're gonna get stuck right around here. This is like the highest I've ever been getting stuck at the crater here. This is interesting. Let's see. We're still going along. The engine is kind of helping me, and in some ways not helping me, and I think it's gonna be at the usual spot. Gonna skateboard up here, and we are gonna get wedged, without a doubt. Gonna get wedged right here, so I might have to bring out the node grabbers. So still clacking along, and we're stuck. So node grabber, if I'm trying to say this, thanks to this. What was that? I don't know, but let's node grab it and find a place here. Can I grab you, please? 90% strength, we just yeet the bitch. Yeah, sort of. Not like hardcore yeet it, but we got ourselves down at the bottom of the crater. And the structural integrity of the car is much, much worse than the first one. Wait till the dust clear out, and I'll start talking here. And something is scraping along here. What is that? Is that a bumper? No, that's a mirror. Are you kidding me? The frickin' mirror landed over here? That's a surprise, man. So destruction-wise, even way worse than the first one. Looks like the body is like about to separate from the chassis, it seems like. It's trying to like separate from the chassis here. We got some inverted polygons and pieces of the body here. This is just ridiculous looking. Like, how is this even possible in the first place of getting every hit, making every hit at the side of the cliff face to get this type of shape here? Like, this is bizarre, man. Like, super duper bizarre, I swear. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Ajax Clipper RSi Turbo. This type of vehicle isn't too bad of a hot hatch, even though in the 80s, that's what hot hatches were starting to make its roll into the car markets. Like the early Citroen AX, Volkswagen Golf, Mitsubishi Charade, and all those guys, like they were starting to like make a name for themselves in the 80s, and around the 90s, that's where we're really starting to take off here in America. But overall, not too bad of a vehicle, some understeering here and there because, well, it's not a pure sports car, it's a hot hatch, but let's just leave it at that. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. And also, check out my social media down in the description below. So this has been Mr. Jack 000. I'll see ya in the next video.